Okay, so in the last video, we went over how to use the dispatch board. And before that, we set up our first client and our first job. So now that the job is completed for this client, we are ready to invoice them. So because this client and this job was on a daily invoicing frequency, as soon as I completed the job, you'll notice we have that invoice. So here I could go ahead and click on that invoice. If I wanted to, I could do my invoicing right from the dispatch board for this client. And I'm going to view this invoice. Now notice you're going to see the description here, the invoice description and the service, as well as the date and the tax, the rate, the total and everything. If I wanted to, I could click into this field and adjust anything. Let's say that the rate needed to be increased. I could increase it there and then save it. Also at this point, I could add a line item if I needed to add something else, like let's say there was a product that needed to be added here. I could add the product there and save it. And I also can go up and adjust any other criteria here if the tax reference needs to be changed or the payment terms, the payment method, anything like that that needs to be changed, I can do so. And I can just verify that all the information is correct. And once I am ready, I could go ahead and email it out, print it out, or enter a payment if I have payment for it or if they're paying by credit card and I have that on file already. Either way, I could take care of the invoice right from here. But most of the time, you're not going to want to do your invoicing one at a time. You're going to want to just do everything in bulk. So to do that, there's a special spot here in the system. Let's go to Accounting and Invoices. And this is going to bring you to your Invoices page. And this is going to show all of your invoices for all of your clients. So first of all, you'll notice that it takes us right to the Results tab. And this tab is going to just show all of our invoices. You'll see the invoice for Tim Jones here that I've created. And you'll notice that it's red, and the reason it's red is that I flagged it for review, so that's why it shows up red. And I'm just going to kind of go over what these different tabs here mean. So the other tab here is the Past Due tab. This is going to be any invoice which has reached its net terms date. So if I give them a week to pay, or if it's due on receipt, let's say it's due on receipt, and the second day or the first day, as soon as it's invoiced, it would be due. So you would see that it would come up here as past due after that first day. And also, let's say we want to look at all our open invoices. So these are all of our invoices which haven't been paid yet. So that's this third tab, is all of your open invoices, anything that's still open. For example, Tim Jones, who we just created, his is still open. And now we also have our invoices to charge. And this is going to be any client's invoice set up on auto charge. So under their client settings, you can change how they pay you. And if they're set up to be a credit card type and they have a card on file, when their invoice generates, it's going to show up in this charge tab. And then from this tab, what you can do is you can click on all of them, go to Actions, Charge Cards, and you can charge them all in bulk. So if you invoice on a weekly basis, maybe at the end of the week, you go here and you charge all your invoices. And then what will happen is that once you charge them, they'll be removed from this Invoices to Charge tab so you don't charge them again. You also have your Invoices to Print tab. So these are going to be any invoices which you've marked as needing to print. And we'll notice for Tim Jones, I marked his as print and email. So his invoice is going to show up in the Print tab and the Email tab. But for the sake of this, let's say that we want to just print all these invoices and mail them out. So what I'm going to do is just check all, go to Actions, and select Print. And now this is going to take me to a new screen, which has all of my invoices. Notice we've got 30 here, so we can page through these and view all of our invoices and print them out and send them out. So let's go ahead and click Print. Now, I'm not actually connected to a printer here, so I'm going to go ahead and click cancel. But let's say for whatever reason we printed it, but there was an issue with the printer, so I could go ahead and reprint it here. But let's say everything is fine, the invoices came out fine, I'm ready to send them off. I'm going to select Mark as Printed. And then I'm going to go ahead and it'll tell you the invoices were marked as printed, so we know that's good. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back to those invoices here. Actually, it was this tab, back to the Invoices tab. And watch here, I had 30 of 48 showing in this tab, and as soon as I refresh this, now only 18 of 18 are showing because those 30 went away and they're printed. So they're still here in this General Invoices page. They're actually still under Results. They're just no longer in the Print tab because we've printed them. And the Email tab works in a similar way. Any invoices that you set up to be email will show here. All you need to do here is if you're sending them out in bulk, you just check all, you go to Actions, and then you click Email, and then you go down here and send it. And once you click that, the emails will be sent, and you'll get this notification here, and it removes them from the list. So typically it may take a little bit if you send all at once because it sends them in batches, so it may take a little bit of time for the clients to receive them. But once they're out of this tab, you know that you've successfully sent them. And let's say for whatever reason, going back to this Print tab, let's say for whatever reason, we've already sent these clients' invoices via email and we just don't want them to show up in the Print tab. We can go to Actions after selecting all, go to Actions and Clear Flags. And what I can do here is I can clear the email flags or the print flags so that it removes them from those tabs. And I can also choose to lock the invoice so that we can't edit them. And what will happen is whenever you send them out, either via printing them or emailing them, it's automatically going to lock the invoices so you can't edit them again. But this will, if you're clearing the flags, you select lock invoices so that you make sure that they get locked. But we're not going to do that now. And the other tab I want to mention here is the Incomplete tab. Currently, we don't have anything in the Incomplete tab, but let's say, for example, we have a job that was on a monthly frequency, billing frequency, and we completed a job and it wasn't going to generate, or the invoice wasn't going to generate until the end of the month. You would still see an incomplete invoice here until the end of the month, and then the invoice moves from the Incomplete tab over to the Results tab. But again, this will be for invoices which haven't reached that generation date, but the work has been completed or the jobs have been completed. And now let's go to our payment section. Let's say that we've done our invoicing and now we've got some checks, or let's say we have credit cards on file and we need to do some payments. So let's go to Accounting and we're going to go to Payments. And what I could do here from this payments list is I could add payments. Now you're going to see all of your payments listed here. I could add a payment here. This would allow me to add multiple payments. Let's say I've got a stack of checks and I need to enter them one by one. I can go here, choose my client, change the payment method if I need to be check, and enter them one by one by one. After each one, I would click Save and New. And I'll go over all these details when we create a payment from the client screen. For now, I just wanted to show you here how you could add payments in bulk by going to this payments section here. So let's go actually to the client's page. Now, one thing I want to point out is that for that client that we had entered earlier, if you go up here to your Recents tab, you can see where you've been recently. And I can go ahead and click on Tim Jones and get right to his page. Now notice he has a $54 outstanding balance because he has that invoice, that job that was completed. Now let's say we want to go ahead and add a transaction for him and pay off that invoice. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add a Transaction, and I'm going to add a payment. And notice that it defaults here to cash because let's say That's how he's set up in his client settings. He's set up to pay by cash. But let's say he gives us a card. So I'm going to change that to American Express. And what I could do here now is I could add a credit card, and this would add the information here, and then I could go down and charge and close and charge it for that amount. But before I do that, I would want to put in the amount here. So in this case, let's say he's paying off the entire thing. And what I'm going to do is allocate payment. And this is going to allocate that entire amount down here. And notice that now, where before it said 0, it says $54.13 because there's $54.13 applied. And as soon as we save this, the account balance is then going to go to 0. So let's say, though, in this scenario, we just want to pay by cash. We're not paying by credit card. So we're going to pay this by cash. And I might want to put a memo there. Also, I'll mention if you're doing checks, let's say I change that to check and he gives me a check, I can put the check number in there, also put a memo, and it's paying off that invoice below. And I'm going to click on Save and Close. And you'll notice how the balance went down to 0 because now I have a payment, and both of these balances here are 0 as well because the invoice is paid off and this payment is fully applied. So that is really it. Now we've gone over how to create a client, scheduling your first job, using the dispatch board, and now invoicing and getting paid. And the next video, we're going to go over managing your jobs from the calendar.